The Monster of Piedras Blancas is a film that I watched without knowing anything about the ratings or the reception or whether it was generally conceived to be a good film. And I can honestly say I quite enjoyed it, and I also quite enjoyed going into it with no idea about whether it was meant to be good or not. Because usually I'm aware of a film's rating before I watch it, or at least in some cases. But going in, allowing myself to make up my own mind, it worked pretty well, and I have to say it's pretty good. It's not a sensational film, but for the time, I'd say it's got a lot going for it. It was released in 1959, directed by Irvin Berwick, written by Haile Chace, and it stars Jeanne Carmen as Lucille, and her father is played by John Harmon. He's actually a lighthouse keeper, and that's a suitable location because it actually overlooks the beach where this creature emerges from. And I'll read the description from IMDb because I think it sums it up pretty perfectly without spoiling anything at all. And then I'll talk without spoilers a little bit around this. So the description from IMDb is as follows. The monster, which looks like a snarling creature from the Black Lagoon, which is true, it kind of does, invades a sleepy seaside town. The lighthouse keeper, widowed and estranged from the townsfolk, has been secretly leaving food out for the monster for years, unaware of its bloodlust. When the monster's appetite outstrips the keeper's ability to serve it, bloodless decapitated corpses start to show up. And that's fairly accurate. I think it sums it up reasonably well about the monster suddenly increasingly causing more and more havoc, and these corpses, these headless corpses, begin to obviously turn up. What I will say is that the monster doesn't really seem to do very much to these corpses, because obviously if he's trying to kill them for food, the corpses don't really seem like they've been eaten, if that makes sense. They've certainly been decapitated, but I never got the sense that they were, just all blood and guts and inside out. So that's a bit of an oversight, I think. We do, I'd say after the halfway mark, it gets kind of visually graphic. Obviously, for today's audience, not at all, but at the time, we do get to see decapitated heads and things, which is awesome. But again, I never got the sense that the monster had feasted, that he'd chowed down on these bodies, if you like. So I feel like that's definitely something that was an oversight. It seemed like he was just killing them for the sake of killing them rather than for food. So there are questions that I had that were not answered. There were gaps, I think. It isn't perfect. But that quibble aside, I actually quite liked it. I feel like it's very suspenseful. The music's very in your face, especially at the beginning. If you went to watch this without knowing what the genre was, you'd very quickly realize it was meant to be a horror. Well, it is a horror because the music is exactly what you'd expect, and it's loud and intense at the very, very beginning. And throughout it, we do have some good use of music and sound effects and things, so it's quite pleasing to listen to. But occasionally, the music's a little bit loud. Um, with regards to how much space the monster travels, obviously a lot of it's set on the beach. We have some gorgeous shots of the water, but he also goes into the village, and it means that nobody is safe. One of my favourite moments is when I don't want to spoil it too much, but it's when the little boy goes into the candy shop and sees something that he definitely would rather not have seen. I just thought that what followed was quite fascinating because he went to get help from adults, and the adults were in a difficult situation. And I won't say any more than that, I won't spoil it, but it made me think if that happened in real life, what would you do? Would you stay there and finish the thing that you were doing? Or would you go and run to the candy shop? I really don't know. So it made me think a little bit. The design of the monster I like. I think he looks strong, but at the same time he looks slimy, and as if you would push him down, he'd slide all over the place. So it's kind of an interesting mix. The noise he makes is fantastic. It's kind of a screechy wail, um, which is very effective. Um, I'm not sure who played the creature. That information doesn't appear to be on IMDb, so if you do know who played the creature, please do let me know. But I rather enjoyed it quite a lot, and oh, that's a lie. The creature is played, the monster, as he's called, is played by Pete Dunn. I just had to open it up and look at more information. Great performance. Loved the way the monster moved around. I thought his movements were great. The noise he made, as I said, made was very, very eerie. The music was a little bit in your face at times, but generally it was very effective, reasonably well shot, good acting across the board, suspenseful. Definitely not the worst film I've ever seen. It's not the best horror I've ever seen, absolutely not. But if you like slightly cheesy but generally well done 1950s horrors, The Monster of Piedras Blancas is probably worth watching.